There's a circle that goes from the audience to the film and back. Each person is looking and thinking and feeling and coming up with their own sense of things. You just do these things that you fall in love with, and you never know what's going to happen.
I got this idea to make a film about David Lynch, my favorite director, as a final for my directing class. I've spent a lot of time frequently immersed in David Lynch's work, but I've never really pulled back the curtain to examine the methods of the man behind the dreamlike beauty and great cosmic madness of his work. How does Lynch create these worlds? What does he do to make this magic possible?
So that's where we are right now. We just got to the point where Verna and Beth sitting, which is really freaking cosmically weird. And then it's like, so after studying, so this is your voiceover, and I figured we can go and record this stuff. We need to reserve a lab.
After studying Judith Weston, I realized that a director does three main things. A director creates cinematic moments. A director creates a sacred space for a film to take place. And a director works with actors within that space to create those cinematic moments.
You're sensing something as you walk in. Okay, good. Everybody set? You good?
And then, so I flip this curtain around that's in front of this closet, and then I'm going to set the computer up on, like, a table.
Okay.
And so it's just the computer in front of this black curtain.
Okay.
We've chosen to recreate the cowboy scene from Mulholland Drive. We needed a scene that we thought said a lot about Lynch's career.
There's a lot there about a director not having creative control over his work, and that's what he's faced in some of his projects. But there's another layer, more to it than that.
Howdy.
Howdy to you.
Beautiful evening.
Yeah.
There's no doubt David Lynch has created some of the most iconic and recognizable cinematic moments. How does Lynch pull it all together to create his bizarre visions?
Ideas are the number one best thing going. And ideas come to us. We don't really create an idea. We just catch them, like fish. So you get an idea, and it is like a seed. And in your mind, the idea is seen and felt. And it explodes like it's got electricity and light connected to it. And it has all the images and the feeling. And it's like, in an instant, you know the idea.
David paints in strange globs and dots. If you get way back, yay, it's a movie. But you gotta get way back, you gotta get an overview of it, because if you're in the middle of it, all you'll see is globs of paint.
Lynch started out as an art student, and his first film, 6 Men Getting Sick, was intended to be a moving painting.
Might be a little too far over there. Okay. Many of the things that you subconsciously use in painting, you use in film. But I don't think about it so much as feel it.
He likes to get his hands in his work.
We don't want shells? No shells.
Okay.
Yeah, that's beautiful, you guys. That's real nice stuff. We might be okay.
Getting close?
Yeah.
Both his art and his films have some dark, twisted imagery.
Why, we're from the birds sing a freshly song. And there's a voice music in the air.
Music and sound design is a large part of what creates a Lynchian cinematic moment.
The music has to marry with the picture and enhance it. You can't just lob something in and think it's going to work, even if it's one of your all-time favorite songs. When it marries, you can feel it. The thing jumps. A whole is greater than the sum of the parts kind of thing can happen.
To create these cinematic moments, Lynch creates sacred space for the film to take place. For Lynch, the sacred space of the film revolves around a core idea, and anything that fits in the world of that idea makes the world of the film.
You feel David in his movies. It's another universe he takes you to.
Action!
It's like an alternate reality. It's close enough to our own to be really disturbing.
It's not just words or music. It's a whole range of elements coming together and making something that didn't exist before. It's telling stories. It's devising a world, an experience that people cannot have unless they see that film.
Cut it? Were you talking about that door sound? Beat that would be better on this one? That was for sound. That was incredible.
David Lynch practices transcendental meditation, which involves interacting with or opening up to a field of consciousness all around us, and this is the place where ideas live.
I think what distinguishes David from other directors is that his imagination runs wild, and he creates a mood on screen, and he creates a mood on the set that people work in. I've never seen a crew so happy to work for a director before.
Cut it. Beautiful, you guys. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful.
It's magic. It's the energy that I believe is around us all the time. I think he works in that energy field. It's called love. That's the word for it.
It's not that he uses a really different, extraordinary way of directing, but his energy is special.
So how do we make sense of this man who meditates twice a day, who's a chain smoker, who loves surrealist dark imagery, and has a bit of a temper when he's pushed on time from studio executives?
Please, let's shoot.
In 2 days. Somebody arbitrarily says you gotta do it in 2 days. No. That fucking really pisses me off. Okay. It really does. We never get any extra shots. We never get any time to experiment. We never get to, go dreamy or anything. We barely fucking make our days. I could have spent a week in the Fireman's. I love that place.
I mean, he did spend 5 years making Eraserhead.
People have asked me why, if meditation is so great and gives you so much bliss, are my films so dark and there's so much violence? There are many, many dark things flowing around in this world now, and most films reflect the world in which we live. I fall in love with certain ideas, and I am where I am. Now, if I told you I was enlightened, and this is enlightened filmmaking, that would be another story. But I'm just a guy from Missoula, Montana, doing my thing, going down the road like everybody else.
Everything Lynch does as a director is in service to the idea and the world of the idea, and being open to synchronicities that might pop up in service to the idea. An example of how Lynch stays flexible during filming to stay true to the idea is the story of the otherworldly antagonist in Twin Peaks, Bob.
Frank Silva was the set decorator, and we were shooting in Laura Palmer's bedroom. And Frank was moving furniture around, and somebody said, a woman said, "Frank, don't lock yourself in that room," because he had just moved a chest of drawers in front of the door. And I wasn't even looking in that direction, but the image of Frank locked in that room popped into my head. And I rushed to Frank and I said, "Frank, are you an actor?" And he said, "Why, I happen to, yes, happen to be." And I said, "You're going to be in this movie." And he said, "Fantastic." And so I had Frank hide on one pan shot across Laura Palmer's bedroom, freeze down by the bars of the bed, and just be looking right at the camera. And we shot that. And I didn't know what I was going to use it for, no idea at all. We kept shooting in Laura Palmer's house, and that night we were shooting one of the last things in the house. Mrs. Palmer's tormented on the couch, smoking a cigarette, and scenes are playing back in her head, and suddenly she sees something in her mind, bolts upright, and screams. Sean Doyle, he got that right, and tilts up and captures the scream perfectly. And I said, fantastic. And Sean says, no, it's not fantastic. I said, Sean, what is the matter? He said, someone was reflected in the mirror. I said, who was reflected in the mirror? And he said, Frank Silva was reflected in the mirror. And that's when I knew that Frank was part of the scene.
See this like corral up top, and there's like a cow head up top, and David Lynch has this thing where there's lights that are flickering on and off. So usually that lights flickering on and off is a symbol of we're entering some sort of strange territory where like you can't trust that you're actually experiencing like a real being or a being from another dimension.
Okay.
So that's the cowboy, like he.
Oh.
I think that, yeah, it's obviously open for interpretation, but I do think that in the subtext, it is almost an interpersonal conversation with oneself regarding restriction and creative liberty.
You know, and get it delivered here tomorrow because I'm going to put that on the shirt. And I found freaking chalk on the way here. Like after I ordered, it sounds like this is a lynching moment. I got that from the library, and then I was walking down the stairs, and here's a handful of chalk. So let me show you the chalk.
And we'll just hear you killing her.
Okay.
And you're going to come back out. And right in here, you're going to look down and see that your ice pick is bent and ruined. And you're going to be very upset. You're going to stop and look at this and be filled with horror at this thing. And then, you know, take off.
For David Lynch, rehearsal is the place where he invites everyone to get tuned into the world of the idea. It's as if characters exist on a frequency of this world. To Lynch, to create the world, to get those cinematic moments, it's a director's job to help actors tune in to the frequency of the world.
And Ike, way back and down. Drag that fucking thing in there, man. Okay. Get in there. We got to get in tight and abstract. We're just whipping through this.
Always, I think you talk to people, you know, actors, one-on-one. And if you can look in their eyes and you can, it's communication. It's not always words. It's a look. It's like a joining.
Lynch sets up the world for actors so they can tune into the character.
Yeah, when you had this thing that you dream about building,
Right.
that's important, you know, to paint a picture of how he was bleeding from the nose to the mouth. And it really freaks you out. And then sometimes dreams are you know.
They're true, yeah.
Yeah. And you're worried about it, you know.
He gives actors clear instructions about what they are going to do in the scene.
He's very specific about what he wants. He orchestrates it perfectly, beautifully, and in a way in which you can completely trust him.
Remember when yesterday you went out to see what's under the car?
Yeah.
Now we're going to shoot you. You open up the door, right?
Okay.
And then you come out, you close the door, and then you look over at the car and you go across the front yard, down the curb. You look both ways to make sure no cars are coming. And then you go across here. Go crazy. Cut it. Let's play that backwards. She's got to be hanging. She's got to be wriggling, hanging, so her feet are doing strange things. If her feet are planted on the thing, it won't be. They won't be working right. She's airborne.
Did you see her feet? I know, but
she's got to be airborne, and then she'll wriggle properly.
He directs in metaphors.
He's an actor's director, and he is a poet. On one scene where we had the car accident, he said, "You come down like a broken doll, like a broken doll." And before, you know, normally they were like, "Oh, you're in pain, you hurt," you know, really show the pain. No, it was like a broken doll.
And it's out there somewhere, and you got to move forward and get it. Okay. You just got to find it. You got to move forward, find the answer. All right. So you're looking out there. You don't care about anything else, and you're high stepping through the grass, moving forward.
For the recreation of the cowboy scene, we thought, how would Lynch do it?
Where are you?
I'm at Cookie's downtown.
Do you know somebody called the Cowboy?
The Cowboy?
Yeah. The Cowboy. This guy, the Cowboy wants to see you. Jason said he thought it'd be a good idea. Something tells me that this guy is connected to what's happening. Adam, I think you should do it, and I think...
For B-roll purposes, we'll just go ahead and... Yeah.
We knew we were on the right track when the universe supplied the chalk.
Now do the thing where you kind of hear something. And that's just frickin' perfect. And then you move into frame.
Howdy.
Howdy to you.
Beautiful evening.
Yeah.
Now, I sure want to thank you for coming up to see me from that fancy Beverly Hills hotel.
Yeah, no problem. What's on your mind?
Well now, that's a man that's eager to get to it. A bit anxious to get to it, are you?
Whatever.
A man's attitude goes some ways, the way his life will be. Is that something you might agree with?
Sure.
Now, did you answer because that's what you thought I wanted to hear? Or did you think about what I said and answer because you truly believe that to be right?
I believe what you said, truly.
What did I say?
That a man's attitude determines to a large extent what his life will be.
So, since you agree, it can be said that you are a man that does not care about the good life.
How's that?
We'll stop for a little second and think about it. Can you do that for me?
Okay. I'm thinking.
No, you're too busy being a smart aleck to be thinking. Now I want you to think and stop being such a smart aleck. Can you do that for me?
What's going on? What do you want me to do?
Sometimes there's a buggy. How many drivers does a buggy have?
One.
So, let's just say that I'm driving this buggy. And you can fix your attitude, and you can ride along with me.
Okay.
I want you to go back to work tomorrow. You were recasting the lead actress anyway. Auditioned many girls for the part. When you see the girl that was shown to you earlier today, you will say,
"This is the girl." The rest of the cast can stay. That is up to you. But that lead girl, that is not up to you. Now, you will see me one more time if you do good, and you will see me 2 more times if you do bad. Good night.
We tuned into the Cowboy Scene, and we tuned into David Lynch's directing style as well. To produce something living, something with a beating heart, is to accept the challenge of creation.
like that. You